Emotional regulation becomes much easier when you understand that emotions aren't just psychological experiences. They're electromagnetic patterns that either support or disrupt coherence. Imagine a field of infinite energy that exists everywhere in the universe, even in the seemingly empty vacuum of space. Modern quantum physics tells us this field contains more energy in a single cubic meter than all the matter in the observable universe. What if this wasn't just a scientific curiosity, but the very source from which all creation emerges? Right now, as you listen to these words, you're immersed in this field. It's flowing through your body, surrounding every atom, and connecting you to every other point in the cosmos. The chair you're sitting in, the air you're breathing, even the thoughts forming in your mind, all of it emerges from this fundamental substrate of reality that scientists call the zero-point field. For centuries, mystics and sages spoke of an underlying unity that connects all things. They described a field of infinite potential from which all manifestation springs. Today, quantum physicists are arriving at remarkably similar conclusions through rigorous scientific investigation. They've discovered that what we perceive as empty space is actually teeming with energy fluctuations, virtual particles popping in and out of existence, and information patterns that may hold the blueprint for all physical reality. This convergence of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science represents more than an interesting intellectual exercise. It offers a revolutionary understanding that can transform your relationship with consciousness, creativity, and manifestation itself. When you learn to align with this field, you're not just accessing a theoretical concept. You're tapping into the fundamental creative force of the universe. The zero-point field challenges everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality. It suggests that consciousness isn't just a byproduct of brain activity, but an active participant in shaping the physical world. It implies that the boundary between observer and observed, between mind and matter, is far more fluid than classical physics would have us believe. Throughout this audiobook, you'll discover how to bridge the gap between scientific understanding and practical application. You'll learn specific techniques for aligning your consciousness with this field, accessing heightened states of awareness, and becoming a conscious co-creator with the universe's fundamental creative intelligence. This isn't about believing in something mystical. It's about working with the deepest laws of physics to unlock your potential as a conscious being. Chapter 1. The Quantum Foundation of Reality. In 1900, physicist Max Planck made a discovery that would forever change our understanding of reality. While studying blackbody radiation, he found that energy doesn't flow continuously like water from a faucet, but comes in discrete packets he called quanta. This seemingly abstract finding opened the door to quantum mechanics and eventually led to one of the most profound discoveries in modern physics, the existence of zero-point energy. Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle reveals that you can never know both the position and momentum of a particle with perfect accuracy. But this principle extends far beyond particles to energy itself. Even the deepest vacuum of space, at absolute zero temperature where all thermal motion should cease, the uncertainty principle guarantees that energy fluctuations continue. These aren't just mathematical abstractions. They're real, measurable phenomena that form the energetic foundation of our universe. The magnitude of this energy is staggering. Calculations suggest that a single cubic meter of empty space contains approximately 10 to the 114th power joules of zero-point energy. To put this in perspective, that's more energy than all the matter in the observable universe if converted to energy using Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared. Every cubic centimeter of seemingly empty space around you contains enough energy to boil away Earth's oceans. This energy manifests through quantum fluctuations, virtual particles that spontaneously appear and disappear in time frames so brief they seem to violate conservation of energy. But they don't actually violate anything. They borrow energy from the quantum vacuum and pay it back so quickly that the uncertainty principle allows this cosmic bookkeeping to balance. These fluctuations create what physicists call the quantum foam, a seething sea of activity at the smallest scales of reality. The Casimir effect provides experimental proof that this energy is real. When two metal plates are placed extremely close together in a vacuum, they experience an attractive force. This happens because the space between the plates can only accommodate certain wavelengths of quantum fluctuations, while longer wavelengths exist in the surrounding space. The pressure difference creates a measurable force, confirming that the quantum vacuum contains real energy. Modern physics suggests that particles themselves may be nothing more than stable patterns of excitation in underlying quantum fields. What we perceive as solid matter could be information structures dancing in an ocean of zero-point energy. This perspective dissolves the traditional boundary between matter and energy, between something and nothing. The implications extend to consciousness itself. If our brains are quantum systems operating in this field, then consciousness might not be generated by neural activity alone, but could be an interface between local awareness and the field's vast information matrix. Your thoughts and intentions might directly interact with quantum processes, influencing probability patterns and shaping reality through mechanisms we're only beginning to understand. This isn't science fiction. It's the frontier of legitimate physics research. Scientists at institutions like Princeton, Stanford, and the Institute of Noetic Sciences are investigating how consciousness might influence quantum systems. Their findings suggest that focused intention can affect random number generators, influence the behavior of quantum systems, and even create measurable changes in physical environments. Understanding this foundation changes everything. If you're embedded in a field of infinite energy and information, if consciousness can influence quantum processes, and if matter itself emerges from underlying field dynamics, then you're not a passive observer of reality. You're an active participant in its creation. The key is learning to work consciously with these principles rather than remaining unaware of them. When you align your consciousness with the zero-point field's fundamental patterns, you begin accessing the same creative intelligence that organizes galaxies, orchestrates biological systems, and generates the endless complexity we see throughout nature. Chapter 2. Ancient Wisdom Meets Modern Science. Thousands of years before quantum physicists discovered the zero-point field, ancient wisdom traditions were describing remarkably similar concepts. The Sanskrit term akasha refers to a subtle, all-pervading medium that underlies and connects all things. Hindu and Buddhist texts describe it as the space element from which all other elements emerge, a field of pure potential that contains the blueprints for all manifestation. In traditional Chinese medicine, qi represents the fundamental life force that flows through everything. Practitioners work with this energy to restore balance and health, understanding that physical symptoms often reflect disturbances in underlying energy patterns. The Taoist concept of the Tao describes an ineffable source from which all existence springs, a principle that generates and sustains the 10,000 things of creation while remaining beyond ordinary perception. Indigenous cultures worldwide have preserved similar understandings. Australian Aboriginal people speak of the dream time, a timeless realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously and from which physical reality continuously emerges. Native American traditions describe the Great Spirit as an all-pervasive consciousness that manifests as both the unity underlying all things and the diversity of creation itself. These aren't primitive superstitions, but sophisticated understanding systems developed through millennia of direct experience. Shamans, yogis, and mystics learned to access non-ordinary states of consciousness where the underlying unity of existence becomes directly perceivable. They discovered that reality has layers, the physical world we normally perceive, and deeper dimensions where everything connects through an invisible web of energy and information. What's remarkable is how closely these ancient descriptions match what quantum physics is revealing. The Akasha's quality of containing infinite potential mirrors the quantum vacuum's fluctuating energy states. The Chinese understanding of qi as both emptiness and fullness reflects the zero-point field's paradoxical nature, a void that's simultaneously teeming with activity. Indigenous concepts of everything being connected align with quantum entanglement and field theories that suggest instantaneous connections across vast distances. Traditional healing practices often work by harmonizing a person's energy with larger field patterns. Acupuncture maps channels through which qi flows, and acupuncturists restore health by correcting disruptions in these energy pathways. Reiki practitioners learn to channel universal life force energy to promote healing. These approaches suggest that health and disease involve more than just biochemical processes. They reflect how well an organism's energy field aligns with the larger matrix of life. Meditation traditions develop techniques for directly experiencing field consciousness. Advanced practitioners report states where individual awareness dissolves into universal awareness, where the boundary between self and cosmos disappears. They describe accessing an infinite intelligence that provides guidance, healing, and creative inspiration. These experiences aren't hallucinations or wishful thinking. They're reproducible phenomena that can be cultivated through specific practices. The convergence of ancient wisdom and modern science suggests we're recovering understanding that was once common knowledge. Perhaps consciousness naturally has the capacity to perceive and interact with the fundamental field, but modern culture's emphasis on external materialism has caused us to forget these innate abilities. We've become so focused on the products of creation that we've lost touch with the creative source itself. Mystics throughout history have insisted that this connection can be restored. They've developed practices for quieting the ordinary mind's constant chatter and accessing deeper levels of awareness. In these states, the artificial separation between observer and observed dissolves, revealing the underlying unity that quantum physics is now confirming through mathematical equations and experimental verification. This convergence offers tremendous practical value. We don't have to choose between scientific rigor and spiritual wisdom. We can integrate both approaches to develop a more complete understanding of reality's nature. Ancient practices provide time-tested methods for accessing field consciousness, while modern science offers frameworks for understanding the mechanisms involved. The zero-point field isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's the same eternal, creative source that sages have been pointing toward for millennia. By bridging these perspectives, we can develop approaches that honor both empirical investigation and direct experience, both rational understanding and intuitive knowing. Chapter 3. Consciousness as the Gateway. The most revolutionary implication of quantum mechanics may be the central role it assigns to consciousness in determining physical reality. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates that particles behave differently when observed versus when unobserved. This isn't just a measurement problem. It suggests that conscious observation actively participates in determining what becomes real from the quantum field of possibilities. When photons or electrons pass through two slits simultaneously, they create an interference pattern characteristic of waves. But when scientists place detectors to observe which slit each particle passes through, the wave pattern disappears and particles behave like discrete objects. The act of measurement collapses the wave function, selecting one specific outcome from multiple potential realities. This observer effect has puzzled physicists for decades. What exactly constitutes an observation? Is it the physical interaction with measuring equipment, or does consciousness itself play a fundamental role? Some interpretations suggest that consciousness is what actually collapses the wave function, making it the bridge between quantum possibilities and manifest reality. Your consciousness operates as both receiver and transmitter in relation to the zero-point field. As a receiver, you're constantly processing information from the quantum environment around you. Most of this happens below the threshold of ordinary awareness, but sensitive individuals often report picking up on subtle energy fields emotional atmospheres, and information that can't be explained through conventional sensory channels. As a transmitter, your thoughts, emotions, and intentions generate their own field effects that influence the quantum environment. Studies have shown that focused intention can affect random number generators, influence the growth of bacteria, and even impact the behavior of electronic circuits. Your consciousness isn't separate from the field. It's a localized expression of the field's infinite creative intelligence. Attention serves as the primary tool for shaping reality through conscious interaction with the quantum realm. Where you place your attention determines which possibilities receive energy and become more likely to manifest. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a principle that operates whether you're aware of it or not. By becoming conscious of how attention works, you can begin directing it more skillfully. Most people's attention operates automatically, driven by habits, reactions, and unconscious patterns. They focus on what they don't want, replaying past problems or imagining future disasters. Since attention amplifies whatever it focuses on, this creates a self-reinforcing cycle where undesired experiences become more likely to manifest. Conscious attention works differently. Instead of being pulled around by circumstances, you learn to direct your focus intentionally toward desired outcomes. This doesn't mean forcing or straining. It means learning to rest your attention naturally on what you want to experience while remaining open to how it might manifest. The illusion of separation is perhaps the biggest barrier to effective field interaction. Most people experience themselves as isolated individuals bumping around in a world of separate objects. From this perspective, consciousness appears to be produced by brain activity and confined within the skull. Any influence on external reality seems impossible except through physical action. But quantum field theory reveals a different picture. You're not separate from the field. You're a pattern of information and energy within it. Your consciousness extends far beyond your physical body through quantum connections that link you to the entire universe. Every thought and emotion ripples through the field, influencing the probability patterns that determine what becomes manifest. Moving beyond separation requires recognizing that the boundary between inner and outer experience is conceptual rather than absolute. Your thoughts create internal states that influence how you interpret and respond to circumstances. But they also generate field effects that influence the circumstances themselves. The same consciousness that creates your subjective experience also participates in creating objective reality. This understanding transforms how you approach life's challenges and opportunities. Instead of feeling like a victim of external circumstances, you recognize yourself as a co-creator with the field's intelligence. Problems become invitations to develop new capacities. Obstacles become opportunities to align more deeply with your authentic purpose. Practical field interaction begins with developing sensitivity to your own consciousness states. Notice how different thoughts and emotions create different internal experiences. Observe how these internal states influence your perception of external situations. Pay attention to moments when your consciousness feels expanded, connected, or aligned with something larger than your personal concerns. These moments offer glimpses of field consciousness, states where individual awareness opens to the larger intelligence operating through all things. They might occur during meditation, in nature, while engaged in creative activities, or during moments of deep connection with others. The more you recognize and cultivate these states, the more consistently you can access the field's creative potential. Chapter 4. Meditation and Field Alignment. The ancient practice of meditation becomes profoundly relevant when understood as a technology for aligning consciousness with the zero-point field. Rather than simply relaxation or stress reduction, meditation at its deepest level establishes coherent states that allow direct interaction with the fundamental creative intelligence underlying all reality. Coherent heart-brain states form the foundation for effective field alignment. Your heart generates the body's strongest electromagnetic field, approximately 60 times stronger than the brain's electrical field. When your heart rhythm becomes coherent through focused breathing and positive emotions, it synchronizes with brain rhythms and creates an optimal state for accessing expanded awareness. Begin by placing your hand on your heart and breathing slowly and deeply. Feel your breath flowing into and out of your heart center. As you breathe in, imagine drawing energy up from the earth through your feet and legs. As you breathe out, visualize this energy flowing from your heart and extending outward in all directions. Continue this pattern until you feel a sense of warmth, expansion, or tingling in your chest area. This heart-focused breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your physiology from stress-based survival mode into coherent states that naturally attune to field frequencies. Your heart rate variability becomes more coherent, your brain waves synchronize, and your entire nervous system enters a state of dynamic balance. Visualization techniques can enhance your connection to the zero-point field by creating internal experiences that resonate with field properties. Imagine yourself surrounded by a vast ocean of shimmering, luminous energy. This energy extends infinitely in all directions, containing endless patterns of information and creative potential. Feel yourself floating in this ocean, supported and nourished by its life-giving presence. Visualize this energy flowing through every cell of your body, clearing away tension, limitations, and old patterns that no longer serve you. See it entering through the top of your head and flowing down through your central channel, lighting up your entire nervous system. Allow it to circulate through your arms and legs, creating a dynamic flow that connects you to the larger field. Some people prefer more abstract visualizations. Imagine consciousness as infinite space, boundless, clear, and luminous. Rest your awareness in this space without trying to focus on any particular object or thought. When thoughts arise, simply let them dissolve back into the spaciousness from which they emerged. This approach cultivates what Tibetan Buddhists call sky-like awareness, consciousness that's open, vast, and naturally connected to its source. Breathing practices can directly enhance quantum coherence by influencing the electromagnetic field generated by your heart and nervous system. The breath serves as a bridge between conscious control and autonomic function, allowing you to influence physiological processes that normally operate below awareness. Try the coherent breathing pattern. Breathe in for 5 counts, breathe out for 5 counts, maintaining this rhythm for several minutes. This creates a coherent heart rhythm that synchronizes with optimal brain wave patterns. Some traditions recommend breathing in for 4 counts, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding empty for 4. Experiment with different patterns to find what creates the strongest sense of internal alignment. Advanced practitioners often coordinate breathing with visualization and intention. Breathe in universal energy. Hold it while allowing it to integrate throughout your system. Breathe out any limitations or resistance, and rest in the space of pure potential before beginning the next cycle. This combines physiological coherence with conscious direction of attention and energy. Creating the optimal internal environment for field alignment involves more than just meditation techniques. Your overall lifestyle either supports or interferes with your capacity to maintain coherent states throughout daily life. Diet, exercise, sleep patterns, relationships, and environment all influence your baseline coherence and ability to access expanded awareness. Reduce inputs that create nervous system stress. Excessive caffeine, processed foods, violent entertainment, and toxic relationships. Increase inputs that support coherence. Fresh foods, time in nature, uplifting music, and meaningful connections with others. Create physical spaces that feel harmonious and supportive of expanded states of consciousness. Regular practice is essential for developing stable field alignment. Even 5 or 10 minutes of daily meditation can begin shifting your default consciousness state toward greater coherence and openness. Consistency matters more than duration. A brief daily practice will produce more lasting changes than occasional long sessions. Pay attention to how your consciousness feels in different environments and around different people. Some places and relationships naturally support expanded awareness, while others seem to pull you into contracted, reactive states. Use this sensitivity to make choices that support your growing capacity for field alignment. Notice spontaneous moments when you feel particularly connected, creative, or inspired. These often occur when your consciousness naturally aligns with field frequencies without deliberate effort. By recognizing these states, you can begin learning what internal conditions support them and how to cultivate them more consistently. Chapter 5. The Science of Intention and Manifestation. The relationship between consciousness and reality becomes most practical when we explore how focused intention interacts with the zero-point field to influence physical manifestation. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It's an emerging area of scientific research that's revealing the quantum mechanical basis for how thoughts and emotions can affect material reality. Thoughts and emotions generate their own electromagnetic signatures that extend far beyond the boundaries of your physical body. Your brain produces measurable electrical activity, your heart generates a powerful magnetic field, and the coherent patterns created by your nervous system radiate into the surrounding quantum environment. These aren't just internal experiences. They're energy patterns that influence the field of possibilities from which physical events emerge. Dr. William Tiller's research at Stanford University demonstrated that human intention can significantly alter the properties of electronic devices. When experienced meditators focused their intention on specially designed circuits, the devices became conditioned and continued showing altered behavior for months afterward. This suggests that consciousness can create lasting changes in the quantum properties of physical systems. Similar studies have shown that focused intention can influence random number generators, affect the growth rate of bacteria, alter the pH of water, and even impact the behavior of quantum systems at a distance. These effects are small, but statistically significant, and they point toward mechanisms through which consciousness participates in shaping physical reality. The key lies in understanding how intention shapes probability waves in the quantum field. Every possible outcome exists as a probability pattern until something causes the wave function to collapse into a specific manifestation. Coherent intention appears to bias these probability patterns, making desired outcomes more likely to occur while reducing the likelihood of undesired alternatives. This process works most effectively when intention is combined with emotional coherence. Emotions aren't just feelings. They're energy patterns that either amplify or interfere with the electromagnetic signals generated by your thoughts. Positive emotions like gratitude, love, and appreciation create coherent field patterns that enhance manifestation, while negative emotions like fear, anger, and resentment create chaotic patterns that interfere with clear intention. The most effective approach involves generating a clear mental image of your desired outcome, while simultaneously feeling the emotions you would experience if that outcome were already real. This creates a coherent signal that combines mental clarity with emotional authenticity, establishing a strong resonance pattern in the quantum field. However, manifestation isn't about trying to control or force outcomes through willpower. That approach often creates internal tension and conflicting signals that interfere with the process. Instead, effective intention involves establishing clear direction while remaining open and allowing regarding how manifestation occurs. Think of intention like planting a seed in fertile soil. You provide clear direction by choosing what type of seed to plant and where to plant it. You nourish the seed with appropriate attention, emotions, and actions. But you don't try to control exactly how the plant grows or force it to mature faster than its natural timing allows. This balance between focused direction and open allowance reflects how the zero-point field operates. The field contains infinite creative intelligence that knows how to orchestrate complex manifestations involving countless variables and synchronicities. Your role is to provide clear input about what you want to experience while trusting the field's intelligence to handle the details of how it manifests. Practical intention work begins with clarifying what you truly want rather than what you think you should want or what others expect from you. The field responds to authentic desire that aligns with your deeper purpose, not to superficial wants driven by ego or social conditioning. Spend time exploring what genuinely matters to you and what would contribute to your growth and service to others. Once you've clarified your intention, create a regular practice for communicating it to the field. This might involve visualization exercises, written affirmations, or simply spending time each day feeling into the reality of your desired outcome. The key is consistency and authentic engagement rather than perfect technique. Pay attention to synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, and intuitive guidance that may be related to your intention. The field often responds through indirect pathways that require flexibility and trust. An important connection might come through a chance encounter, a book that catches your attention, or an intuitive impulse to take a specific action. Remember that manifestation involves both inner alignment and outer action. The field creates opportunities and opens pathways, but you still need to recognize and respond to them appropriately. Intention without action often remains wishful thinking, while action without clear intention may lack the coherence needed to attract meaningful results. Most importantly, approach intention work with curiosity and playfulness rather than attachment and desperation. Attachment creates resistance that interferes with natural flow, while desperate energy often attracts more experiences of lacking what you want. Trust that the field is always responding to your consciousness state and that aligning with gratitude, love, and authentic purpose creates the optimal conditions for manifestation. Chapter 6. Cultivating Coherent Energy States. Your nervous system operates like a sophisticated radio that can tune into different frequencies of consciousness. Just as adjusting a radio dial brings in clear stations or static, your physiological state determines how clearly you can receive and transmit field information. The difference lies in achieving what scientists call coherence, a state where your heart, brain, and nervous system synchronize into optimal patterns. Coherence isn't just feeling good or being relaxed. It's a specific physiological condition measurable through heart rate variability, brain wave patterns, and electromagnetic field emissions. When you're in coherent states, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and ordered rather than chaotic. Your brain waves synchronize across different regions. Your entire nervous system enters a state of dynamic balance that naturally resonates with field frequencies. Think of coherence like tuning an orchestra. When musicians play independently without coordination, you get noise. But when they synchronize their timing and tuning, beautiful music emerges. Your physiological systems work the same way. When your heart rhythm, breathing, brain waves, and nervous system harmonize, you create an internal symphony that naturally attunes to the zero-point field's creative intelligence. Research at the Institute of Heart Math has identified specific techniques for generating coherent states on demand. The key lies in activating your heart's electromagnetic field through focused attention combined with genuine positive emotions. Your heart generates the body's strongest bioelectric field, and when this field becomes coherent, it entrains your entire nervous system into optimal patterns. Start by shifting your attention from your head to your heart center. Place your hand over your heart and breathe slowly and evenly, imagining your breath flowing directly into and out of your heart area. This simple shift begins activating coherent heart rhythms within 60 to 90 seconds for most people. Next, activate a positive emotion while maintaining heart-focused breathing. Recall a moment when you felt deep appreciation, love, compassion, or gratitude. Don't just think about it intellectually, actually recreate the feeling in your body. Feel the warmth, expansion, or lightness that accompanies genuine positive emotions. This combination of heart focus, rhythmic breathing, and positive emotion creates rapid physiological coherence. Emotional regulation becomes much easier when you understand that emotions aren't just psychological experiences. They're electromagnetic patterns that either support or disrupt coherence. Negative emotions like frustration, anxiety, or resentment create incoherent heart rhythms that pull your entire system out of optimal functioning. Positive emotions like appreciation, care, and compassion generate coherent patterns that enhance your capacity for field connection. The goal isn't to suppress difficult emotions, but to develop the skill of shifting into coherent states when you choose to. This gives you conscious control over your energy signature rather than being at the mercy of automatic emotional reactions. When you feel stressed or overwhelmed, you can use coherent breathing and positive emotions to quickly restore internal balance. Building sustained field connection throughout daily life requires making coherence a priority rather than leaving it to chance. Set reminders to check in with your internal state several times throughout the day. Notice when you've slipped into incoherent patterns, rushing, worrying, or reacting automatically to circumstances. Use these moments as opportunities to practice returning to coherent states. Create coherence anchors in your environment. These might be beautiful objects, inspiring images, or meaningful symbols that remind you to shift into coherent states when you see them. Use transition moments, walking through doorways, sitting down, or picking up your phone, as cues to take a coherent breath and reconnect with positive emotions. Your energy signature affects everyone around you through field interactions that occur below the threshold of ordinary awareness. When you maintain coherent states, others often feel more relaxed and centered in your presence, even though they might not consciously understand why. This creates positive feedback loops where your coherence supports others' coherence, which in turn supports your own. Recognize that different activities, environments, and relationships either support or undermine your capacity for coherence. Pay attention to how your energy feels in various situations. Some places naturally enhance your sense of connection and creativity. Others seem to drain your energy or pull you into reactive states. Use this sensitivity to make choices that support your growing capacity for sustained field alignment. As you develop skill in generating and maintaining coherent states, you'll notice increased access to intuitive insights, creative solutions, and synchronistic experiences. Coherence creates the optimal internal environment for receiving information from the field's vast intelligence matrix. Your consciousness becomes like a clear lake that can reflect the subtle patterns of universal guidance flowing through the quantum environment. Chapter 7. Accessing Universal Intelligence. The zero-point field contains what scientists are beginning to recognize as a vast information matrix. Patterns of organization and intelligence that extend far beyond what any individual brain could generate. When your consciousness achieves sufficient coherence and alignment, you gain access to this larger intelligence, receiving insights and solutions that transcend ordinary thinking processes. This isn't mystical speculation, but an emerging frontier in consciousness research. Studies of peak performers in various fields, from scientists making breakthrough discoveries to artists creating inspired works, reveal common patterns. These individuals often report that their best ideas came through them rather than from them, arriving as sudden insights or intuitive downloads that felt larger than their personal knowledge. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research on morphic fields suggests that information patterns created by past events continue to influence similar future events across space and time. This might explain how inventors in different locations sometimes develop identical innovations simultaneously, or how breakthrough ideas seem to emerge when the collective field reaches a certain threshold of readiness. The field as an information source operates differently than logical, linear thinking. Your ordinary mind processes information sequentially, building conclusions step by step through reasoning and analysis. Field-sourced intelligence often arrives as complete gestalts, whole patterns of understanding that appear suddenly with all their interconnections intact. These insights frequently come during moments when your analytical mind is quiet and your consciousness is open and receptive. Many famous discoveries have emerged during relaxed states, while walking in nature, taking a bath, or just awakening from sleep. The field seems to communicate most clearly when you're not trying to force solutions through mental effort. Learning to distinguish between ego mind and field-sourced insights requires developing sensitivity to how different types of knowing feel in your consciousness. Ego-based thinking often carries emotional charge, fear, desire for recognition, or attachment to being right. It tends to create mental pressure and internal tension. Field insights typically arrive with a sense of natural rightness, often accompanied by feelings of peace, expansion, or gentle excitement. Field guidance often challenges your existing assumptions or points toward possibilities you hadn't considered. The ego mind prefers familiar solutions that confirm what you already believe. Universal intelligence may suggest approaches that stretch your comfort zone or require trusting in outcomes you can't fully predict through logical analysis. Practical techniques for receiving guidance begin with creating optimal internal conditions for field connection. Establish regular periods of quiet reflection where you're not trying to solve problems, but simply opening to whatever wants to emerge. This might involve meditation, contemplative walking, or any activity that naturally quiets your mental chatter. When facing specific challenges or decisions, try posing clear questions to the field rather than immediately jumping into analytical problem solving. State your question simply and clearly. Then release any attachment to how the answer should come. Solutions might arrive as sudden insights through conversations with others or through synchronistic events that point toward new directions. Pay attention to your body's intelligence as well as your mental insights. The field communicates through multiple channels simultaneously. You might feel drawn towards certain choices, experience physical sensations that guide your attention, or notice emotional responses that provide information about different options. Learning to read these subtle signals enhances your capacity for receiving comprehensive guidance. Journaling can help you recognize patterns in how field intelligence communicates with you personally. Some people receive insights primarily through visual images or symbolic representations. Others hear internal guidance as words or phrases. Still others feel directional impulses or know things without understanding how they know. Discovering your unique receiving style improves your ability to recognize authentic guidance. Building trust in nonlinear knowing requires gradually expanding your comfort zone by acting on smaller intuitive impulses before making major decisions based on field guidance. Start by following hunches about minor choices, which route to take, which book to read, or who to call. Notice how these decisions work out over time and how following your intuition affects your overall sense of flow and synchronicity. The more you work with field intelligence, the more you'll recognize its collaborative nature. You're not receiving commands from an external authority, but participating in a dynamic conversation with a creative intelligence that operates through all things. Your questions, intentions, and actions influence what information becomes available, while the field's responses guide your next steps in an ongoing dance of co-creation. Remember that field intelligence always operates in service of the larger good, even when its guidance challenges your personal preferences. Unlike ego-based thinking that focuses primarily on individual benefit, universal intelligence considers the welfare of all interconnected systems. Trusting this guidance requires developing faith that what serves the greater whole ultimately serves your authentic fulfillment as well. As you develop skill in accessing and trusting field intelligence, you become a more effective channel for the universe's creative potential. Your life begins reflecting greater wisdom, timing, and purposefulness as you learn to align your actions with the deeper intelligence that orchestrates the evolution of consciousness throughout the cosmos. Chapter 8. Co-creating with the field. The relationship between your individual consciousness and the zero-point field's universal intelligence represents the essence of conscious co-creation. This isn't about learning to control the field through willpower or technique, but about discovering how to work collaboratively with forces far greater and more intelligent than your personal mind can comprehend. Understanding the difference between forcing and allowing transforms how you approach every aspect of life. Forcing comes from ego mind's belief that you must make things happen through effort, control, and manipulation. This approach often creates resistance and struggle because it operates against the natural flow of universal intelligence rather than in harmony with it. Allowing doesn't mean passive waiting or giving up personal responsibility. It means aligning your intentions and actions with the field's inherent wisdom while remaining open to outcomes that may exceed what you initially imagined possible. Think of it like sailing. You set your direction and adjust your sails, but you work with wind patterns rather than trying to control the wind itself. Collaborative creation begins with recognizing that you're always in relationship with the field's intelligence, whether you're conscious of it or not. Every thought, emotion, and action either harmonizes with or creates resistance to the larger patterns of organization and evolution operating through the universe. Conscious co-creation means learning to recognize these patterns and align with them intentionally. The field's intelligence operates through principles that transcend personal preference. It moves toward greater coherence, complexity, and consciousness. It supports growth, healing, and the evolution of life toward higher potentials. When your intentions align with these universal principles, you receive tremendous support from forces beyond your individual capacity. Ego-driven manifestation focuses primarily on getting what you want for personal benefit, often without considering broader implications or consequences. It tends to create outcomes that temporarily satisfy surface desires, but may not serve your deeper growth or contribute meaningfully to others' well-being. This approach often produces mixed results because it operates against the field's inherent tendency toward universal harmony. Collaborative manifestation begins with clarifying intentions that serve both your authentic growth and the greater good. Instead of asking, "What can I get?" you ask, "How can I serve?" and "What wants to emerge through me?" This shift in perspective opens channels for the field's creative intelligence to work through your life in ways that benefit all involved. Synchronicities serve as one of the field's primary communication methods, providing guidance through meaningful coincidences that reveal when you're aligned with universal flow. These might appear as chance encounters with exactly the right person, information arriving precisely when you need it, or opportunities opening just as you become ready to embrace them. Learning to recognize and follow synchronistic guidance requires developing sensitivity to the subtle patterns of connection and timing that operate beyond logical causation. Pay attention to repeated themes appearing in your experience through different channels. Notice when multiple unrelated sources point toward the same direction or opportunity. Trust the timing of events rather than trying to force outcomes according to your personal schedule. Synchronicities often require faith and courage to follow because they may lead in directions your rational mind can't fully understand or control. The field's intelligence sees connections and possibilities invisible to linear thinking. Following its guidance means trusting that the universe has access to information and resources beyond your current awareness. Surrendering to the field's larger intelligence doesn't mean abandoning personal will or responsibility. Instead, it means recognizing that your individual will operates most effectively when aligned with universal will. Think of yourself as an instrument through which the field's creative intelligence can express itself in unique ways that serve the evolution of consciousness. This surrender involves releasing attachment to specific outcomes while maintaining clarity about your deepest intentions and values. You continue taking inspired action and making conscious choices, but you hold all results lightly, trusting that the field's intelligence may have solutions more elegant and beneficial than anything your personal mind could conceive. Practical co-creation involves developing sensitivity to the field's guidance while maintaining the capacity for decisive action when opportunities arise. Create regular practices for checking in with your deeper intuition before making important decisions. Ask yourself whether proposed actions feel aligned with your authentic purpose and contribute to the greater good. Notice the quality of energy around different choices. Options that align with universal flow often feel energizing, expansive, and naturally right, even when they challenge your comfort zone. Choices that work against the field's intelligence typically create feelings of contraction, depletion, or internal conflict. Pay attention to the ease or difficulty with which different paths unfold. When you're aligned with universal flow, obstacles tend to resolve gracefully and necessary resources appear at the right time. Persistent struggle and repeated obstacles may indicate that you're pushing against the field's natural patterns and need to reassess your approach. Remember that co-creation is an ongoing conversation rather than a one-time alignment. The field's intelligence continuously evolves, presenting new opportunities and challenges that invite you to grow in wisdom, compassion, and capacity for service. Remaining open to this dynamic guidance keeps you flowing with the universe's creative edge rather than getting stuck in fixed patterns from the past. Chapter 9. Living from Field Consciousness. Integrating field awareness into everyday life transforms the most ordinary activities into opportunities for conscious co-creation and spiritual development. This isn't about adding special practices to an already busy schedule, but about bringing a new quality of presence and intention to whatever you're already doing. Maintaining field awareness during daily activities begins with recognizing that every moment offers a choice point for consciousness. You can approach tasks mechanically, driven by habit and reaction, where you can bring conscious presence to each activity, seeing it as an opportunity to align with universal intelligence and serve the greater good. Simple activities like washing dishes, walking to your car, or preparing meals become different experiences when approached with field consciousness. Instead of rushing through these tasks to get to something more important, you recognize them as opportunities to practice presence, gratitude, and conscious participation in the ongoing creation of reality. Start by choosing one routine activity each day to perform with complete presence and intention. Notice the sensory details, the interconnections with larger systems, and the opportunity to bring love and awareness to whatever you're doing. This practice gradually expands your capacity to maintain conscious presence throughout more and more of your daily experience. Field consciousness naturally transforms how you relate to challenges and difficulties. Instead of seeing problems as obstacles to overcome or evidence that something's wrong, you begin recognizing them as invitations from the universe to develop new capacities, release limiting patterns, and align more deeply with your authentic purpose. When facing difficulties, ask yourself what this situation might be trying to teach you or what new capacity it's inviting you to develop. Look for ways the challenge might be redirecting your attention toward priorities that better serve your growth and the greater good. This perspective shift transforms victims into conscious participants in their own evolution. Challenges often appear when you're ready for the next level of growth, but haven't yet made the internal shifts necessary to embrace new possibilities. The field's intelligence uses obstacles to help you recognize and release patterns that no longer serve your expanding consciousness. Working with difficulties in this way accelerates your development rather than just enduring problems until they pass. Creating supportive environments for sustained field connection involves recognizing how your physical surroundings, relationships, and lifestyle choices either enhance or interfere with your capacity for conscious presence. Some environments naturally support expanded awareness, while others seem to pull you into contracted, reactive states. Pay attention to how different spaces affect your consciousness. Natural environments often enhance field connection through their inherent coherence and beauty. Spaces filled with beautiful objects, inspiring art, or meaningful symbols can serve as reminders to return to conscious presence. Cluttered, chaotic, or toxic environments tend to disrupt the subtle awareness needed for field attunement. The same principle applies to relationships. People who embody qualities like authenticity, kindness, and wisdom naturally support your own capacity for conscious presence. Those who consistently operate from fear, negativity, or manipulation tend to pull you into similar states unless you've developed strong internal stability. This doesn't mean avoiding all challenging people or situations, but rather developing the discernment to recognize what supports your growth and what merely drains your energy without offering meaningful learning opportunities. Create boundaries that protect your capacity for conscious presence while remaining open to authentic service opportunities. Your consciousness state affects everyone around you through field interactions that operate below the threshold of ordinary awareness. When you maintain coherent, loving presence, others often feel more peaceful and centered in your company, even without understanding why. This creates positive feedback loops that benefit entire communities and environments. Living from field consciousness makes you a transmission point for higher consciousness in whatever context you inhabit. Your workplace, family relationships, and community involvements become opportunities to anchor more coherent energy patterns that support others' capacity for authentic expression and conscious choice. This transmission happens naturally without effort or intention to influence others. Simply maintaining your own alignment with field intelligence creates an energetic environment that supports everyone's highest potential. People may find themselves feeling more creative, peaceful, or inspired in your presence without consciously understanding the source of these enhanced states. The ripple effects extend far beyond immediate interactions. Field consciousness operates through what scientists call non-local connections, where changes in one part of a system instantaneously affect other parts regardless of physical distance. Your commitment to conscious living contributes to shifts in the collective consciousness that benefit people you'll never meet in places you'll never visit. This understanding transforms daily life from a series of personal tasks and responsibilities into participation in a larger evolution of consciousness on Earth. Every moment of presence, every act of kindness, every choice aligned with wisdom and compassion contributes to the awakening of human potential and the creation of a more coherent, loving world. Recognizing your participation in this larger process brings profound meaning to even the most mundane activities. You're not just living your individual life, but serving as a conscious cell in the awakening body of humanity, helping to birth new possibilities for collective wisdom, creativity, and peace. Chapter 10. Becoming a bridge between worlds. Your capacity to align with the zero-point field positions you as a conscious bridge between the infinite potential of the quantum realm and the manifest world of physical reality. This represents far more than personal development. It's your unique contribution to the larger evolutionary process through which consciousness awakens to itself throughout the universe. Understanding your role in this cosmic awakening begins with recognizing that consciousness evolution doesn't happen in isolation. Individual growth contributes to collective transformation through field effects that connect all awareness into a larger unified system. Your alignment with universal intelligence helps establish coherent patterns that make it easier for others to access similar states of expanded awareness. Think of consciousness like a vast ocean where individual minds are waves on the surface. When enough waves begin moving in coherent patterns, they create powerful currents that influence the entire ocean's movement. Your commitment to field alignment contributes to these currents of awakening consciousness that are transforming human civilization from within. This process involves what evolutionary biologists call emergent properties, new capacities that arise when individual components organize into more complex systems. Humanity appears to be developing collective intelligence capabilities that transcend what any individual mind could achieve alone. Your field consciousness contributes to this emerging global brain through which our species may access solutions to challenges that seem impossible from current perspectives. Serving as a transmission point for field consciousness requires maintaining stable alignment with universal intelligence while remaining fully engaged with the practical demands of daily life. You become a living demonstration that expanded awareness and grounded effectiveness can work together rather than competing with each other. This balance involves developing what mystics call being in the world but not of it, participating fully in physical reality while maintaining awareness of the deeper spiritual dimensions from which material existence emerges. You learn to navigate practical responsibilities with wisdom, creativity, and compassion that flow from field connection rather than just personal knowledge and effort. Your transmission function operates through multiple channels simultaneously. The coherent electromagnetic field generated by your nervous system influences the quantum environment around you in ways that support others' capacity for expanded awareness. Your words, actions, and creative expressions carry frequencies of consciousness that can awaken dormant potentials in those who encounter them. Even your silent presence serves this transmission function. Field consciousness radiates naturally without requiring any effort to influence others. People often report feeling more peaceful, inspired, or connected when spending time with individuals who have developed stable field alignment, even when no special teaching or healing work is taking place. Contributing to collective awakening and planetary healing happens through your commitment to embodying the changes you want to see in the world rather than just advocating for them intellectually. The field responds to what you actually embody more than what you think or say. Living from love, wisdom, and authentic service creates reality patterns that support these qualities emerging throughout the collective consciousness. This contribution extends to environmental and social healing, as well as individual transformation. Field consciousness naturally aligns with the intelligence operating through living systems, supporting the planet's capacity for balance, regeneration, and evolution toward greater complexity and beauty. Your alignment with universal intelligence helps heal the disconnection between human consciousness and natural systems that underlies many current global challenges. Planetary healing doesn't require grand gestures or special abilities beyond field alignment itself. Every choice made from coherent consciousness rather than fear or unconscious reaction contributes to positive transformation. Choosing love over fear, cooperation over competition, and wisdom over reactivity in your daily interactions helps establish reality patterns that support collective movement toward greater harmony. Living as an embodiment of field reality unity dissolves the artificial separation between spiritual development and practical effectiveness. You discover that aligning with universal intelligence enhances rather than diminishes your capacity for skillful action in the world. Field consciousness provides access to creative solutions, intuitive guidance, and synchronistic support that make you more effective at whatever forms of service you're called to provide. This embodiment involves releasing the need to maintain separate identities for your spiritual life and worldly responsibilities. Instead of compartmentalizing consciousness, you learn to bring the same presence, wisdom, and compassion to business meetings, family relationships, and community involvement that you cultivate during meditation or contemplative practices. The ultimate realization is that you're not separate from the field. You are the field expressing itself through your unique perspective and capabilities. Your individual consciousness is like a focal point through which universal intelligence experiences itself and creates positive change in the manifest world. This recognition transforms everything from burden into joy, from obligation into opportunity for conscious participation in the ongoing creation of reality. Your journey of field alignment, thus, serves purposes far greater than personal fulfillment, though it certainly includes that. You're participating in the universe's awakening to itself, contributing to the birth of new forms of collective intelligence, and helping establish patterns of consciousness that will benefit generations yet to come. The journey we've taken together through the landscape of zero-point field consciousness reveals both a scientific reality and a spiritual truth that transforms how we understand our place in the universe. What begins as an abstract concept in quantum physics becomes a lived experience of connection with the fundamental creative intelligence operating through all existence. we've discovered that consciousness serves as our interface with infinite creative potential, that specific practices can align us with this fundamental field of existence, and that we are all co-creators in an interconnected universe of unlimited possibility. These aren't just beautiful ideas, but practical realities that can revolutionize how you approach every aspect of life. The scientific understanding provides a solid foundation for exploration while honoring the rigorous investigation that reveals field properties and consciousness effects. But the real transformation comes through direct experience. Those moments when you feel your individual awareness opening into universal awareness. When solutions arrive through channels beyond logical reasoning. When synchronicities reveal the universe's responsive intelligence. Your capacity to access field consciousness isn't a special gift reserved for mystics or advanced practitioners. It's your birthright as a conscious being embedded in the quantum matrix from which all reality emerges. The practices we've explored, coherent breathing, heart-focused awareness, emotional elevation, and conscious intention, are simply methods for remembering and activating capacities you've always possessed. Remember that alignment with the zero-point field serves purposes far beyond personal benefit. Your consciousness state contributes to the collective field that influences everyone's capacity for wisdom, creativity, and compassion. In developing your own field connection, you're participating in a larger awakening of human potential that our planet desperately needs. Begin today with just 5 minutes of coherent breathing and field visualization. Trust the process, remain open to synchronicities, and remember that your alignment with the zero-point field isn't just personal development. It's your contribution to the evolution of consciousness itself. The field is always present, always available. Your next breath, your next thought, your next moment of presence is an opportunity to align with the source of all creation. The universe isn't only stranger than we imagine. It's more magnificent than we've dared to dream. What awaits you is not just a more fulfilling personal life, though that will certainly unfold. What awaits is the discovery that you're an essential participant in the universe's ongoing creation, a conscious collaborator with the intelligence that moves the stars and beats your heart. The zero-point field isn't something separate from you. It's the very ground of your being, the source from which your consciousness emerges moment by moment. Step into this recognition with courage and curiosity. The field is ready to meet you exactly where you are and guide you toward expressions of your potential that you haven't yet imagined possible. Your journey of awakening contributes to awakening everywhere, rippling through the quantum matrix to touch lives and possibilities across the entire web of existence. Thank you for joining us on this profound exploration of the zero-point field. If this audiobook has opened new possibilities in your consciousness, please subscribe to Audiobooks Library for more transformative content that bridges science and spirituality. Until then, remember, you are not separate from the field. You are the field awakening to itself.